Welcome to the Fourth and Fast Break podcast. I'm your humble, delight, and always blessed host, Joshua McCain. And on today's July the 10th edition of the Fourth and Fast Break podcast, we'll be talking about, has NIL actually killed college sports? A lot of fans have preferred college sports over some professional sports, college basketball over NBA, college football over the NFL, because of the amateurism. Being able to go back to your old school, cheer for a school you've been cheering for years, growing up. Maybe your grandfather went there, your father went there, your parents. Being able to say, hey, I can sit down and on a Saturday afternoon, these guys are going out here and they're doing it for the love of the game and the love of the school. Now they're saying with NIL, that's taking the love of the game and the love of the school away. But I came here today and say, is it really NIL that is killing college sports? Or is it something else? And that something else is the transfer portal. Because the transfer portal has been a topic of discussion so much that it's gone to legislation, with Nick Saban having the Save College Sports Act. Now, we all talk about NIL and a team is willing to give a player X, Y, and Z. Used to be under the table things going on because we know money has always been a part of college sports. Don't let anybody fool you for that. Teams have been paying players for years. It just hasn't been legal. Now it's illegal to get money as long as they do it through a certain type of, you have to have it a certain type of way. So you have to go through name, image, and likeness. So a lot of the deals are brand deals. A lot of the deals go through different, companies, different boosters, different banks. But at the end of the day, they're still getting paid. It's just not, how it used to be. You get from the table, hey, such and such, here goes $500,000. Come play at, my school. And they'll have it, right there and then. Now there's a process to it, but they're still getting paid. But I want to give you guys some numbers here. And I think what's really hurting college sports, whether it's basketball, baseball, or football, for both men and women, and that is the transfer portal. Because the transfer portal has been something that it used to be you had to sit out a year if you transferred. And then if you transfer again, you're sitting out another year. A lot of people didn't even transfer once, let alone twice. And I'm watching Miami go through the national championship run they had last season, and I'm watching the Ray Lewis's, Ed Reeds, Reggie Waynes, Michael Irvins of the world. And I'm asking myself, in 10, 15 years, if we have, let's just say, for the sake of argument, Oregon is in the national championship versus Penn State, or Oregon versus Purdue or something like that. All these guys who transfer to these schools, are they going to have an allegiance? Are they going to be able to go back to the school and be like, hey, I went to Oregon for 6 months? Like, who's going to be on the sidelines for Oregon? Is it going to be Marcus Mariota? Is it going to be Dennis Dixon? Is it going to be LaMichael James? Would these guys have an allegiance to go back to a school that they went to for, 7 or 8 months? Because Miami's sideline was littered with guys who all had been in that school for the duration of their career, 3 or 4 years, and they all love Miami. Don't know what they, got to go to Miami. Don't know if they got anything, but they love Miami. That's where they went to. But now you got guys starting off at Miami, and 4 years later, you look up and they went from Miami, Auburn, Georgia, LSU, and then they end their 5th year off at a minuscule school like Northwestern. And the transfer portal has lost recipes for what college sports, in my opinion, is all about. And that's about having a place you can call home, having a place you can go back to. You see all these different schools, you see the national championship or whatever, the playoff, and you're watching the guys on the sideline that you used to see back in the early 2000s, the mid 2010s, even in some of the 2020s. And you're like, oh my God, that guy was, he was insane at that school. He was really good. He went to that school 3 or 4 years. He dominated. And then they come back, and it's like now this guy went to this school for a year. Then he went to another school for another year. Then he went to another school for another year. Then he finished 2 years off at some other school. And where is his country? There are men and women out here without a country, and that's basically saying they just don't have any place they can say, "Oh, that was my home," because you turn on these Sunday Night Football introductions, and they're going to say such and such from Oregon, but then they go to then you say, well, actually you went to South Carolina, North Carolina, Penn State, and then Oregon. And I'm not trying to beat up on Oregon or anything, but they're just the school I'm using for reference. And are we going to lose that sense of home with these players? And I feel like that's what we're losing more than anything with the transfer portal, because you don't have set guys who are going to these schools in football for 3 or 4 years. For basketball, even if it's a year, they're coming back to this school. And then if you have a 4-year basketball player, 9 times out of 10, they're probably transferred at least twice. It's very rare. Now you see Tennessee jersey I have on. I'm a Tennessee fan. And, that's the Kai Zieglers of the world, Jemai Mayshacks, Santiago Vescovis. They all stayed 4 years at Tennessee, but coaches are now getting 4 or 5 year players, but they're not staying all 4 or 5 years at one college. Yeah, Tennessee has, you getting 4 or 5 year players at the portal, but they spent probably 2 years at, a school, another year at another school, and now they're at Tennessee. If you have a 4 or 5 year player in basketball on your roster, they probably didn't spend, but this is probably their only year they're going to be with you. And that used to be a thing for graduate transfers. Well, now there's still graduate transfers, but now it's just like, okay, a guy just spent 4 years at Coastal Carolina, and you're going to reap the benefits of the player that he is now at North Carolina. And there's nothing wrong with that, because they got a chance to get one exposure to the money. But the transfer portal has definitely been the biggest knock for college sports, and the way they've gone about it, with no legislation, no rules, or anything on it. Approximately 4,500 to 10,500 college football players enter the NCAA transfer portal annually across all divisions. That's D1, it's FBS, FCS, D1, D2, D3. And typically seeing 3,000 to 4,000 scholarship entrants. That means there's roughly 15 to 20% of all college football players across the country move or seek to move every offseason. 15 to 20% out of all of the divisions, 15 to 20% of players are leaving. Those numbers right there kind of indicates where we are at, and that started off in college football. Now over in basketball, 1,500 Division I women typically enter the portal, and 2,500 men in Division I enter the portal, for a grand total of 4,100 people, 4,100 athletes going into the portal every year. So, and then in baseball, we have 2,500 and 4,000 college baseball players by division jump into the portal. That's 6,255 players across all collegiate divisions enter the transfer database. When you have all those thousands of players entering the transfer portal, some because of reasons of, hey, they're not getting the playing time, hey, it's not going to go, I don't like it here, or sometimes, and a lot of people don't know this, coaches are telling these guys and women, hey, you need to go to the portal because we're getting your replacements, or hey, you need to go to the portal because we're not, we don't have the number for you, hey, you need to go to the portal, we're putting your scholarship, so if you want to be here, you're not going to play on scholarship. So it's it's necessary to go to a portal a lot of times because it's not just always their decision. And I don't want to come out and say, hey, these people are being very selfish in what they're doing because they're a lot of these kids aren't doing this on their own. However, you do have the part of the athletes who are saying, hey, I want more money. And that's when the NIL comes in at. Now, school revenue sharing in college football is expected to reach $1.9 billion dollars this season. $1.9 billion dollars. While the top stars at major programs secure $1 million valuations, the median NIL deal for a Division I athlete is just $60 to $72. So you have the NIL and you have the transfer portal. Guys that get into the transfer portal, girls that get into the transfer portal. Like I said, it's only one. It's one of one of three things. Sometimes it's not all their fault, but the transfer portal has changed college sports as you know it, whether it's basketball, baseball, football, or any other sport that you love. NIL is just something that has topped it off. It is just another incentivizing schools to, hey, we need to pay big because a lot of times the NIL is coming from bigger schools, whether it's in the SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, whatever. The oil money in Texas, the big boosters out in Georgia, the big boosters out in Tennessee, the oil money in Tennessee. It's usually like those big teams. That's the NIL, and the NIL has changed some things for the bad, but I want to talk about it change some things for the good because we have seen in college football, we have seen since the year of NIL becoming a thing, and I would say that would be 2021. We have seen in that from 21 to now, we've seen Indiana win a championship. Now, coaching, that had a lot to do with it, but Indiana, the most losingest, I don't even know if that's a word, but the most losingest school program in the history of college football just won a national championship. They've lost combined two games the last two seasons. So NIL can be good. NIL plus coaching, and you can get something. We've seen over the last, would that be 6 seasons, we've seen 5 different champions. In basketball, over the last 6 seasons, we've seen 6 different champions. Well, we've seen 5 different champions. UConn won back to back. And UConn did it in a way of some NIL, but a lot of it was just being able to recruit and maintain, retain your roster. But and then the baseball has been dominated by the SEC from the beginning of time. So, but we've seen 6 different champions as well. So NIL has done some good. Transfer portal has done some good because it's given teams a chance to be able to compete, being able to get these lower level guys that may not have gotten a chance to play back in 2010 if they went to Coastal Carolina, West Carolina, any small school, East Carolina. They wouldn't have had a chance to be able to transfer and go to a team and really help them. So you have guys coming from smaller schools. You had Jahmyr Gibbs go from Georgia Tech to Alabama. Georgia Tech's not just a small school, but Georgia Tech is it's not Alabama. You have guys like Yaxel Lindenberg. He goes from UAB in basketball to Michigan, and he's the best, the most impactful player, best player on the team in Michigan, and they win a national championship. So it all it all goes hand in hand because yes, I believe the transfer portal is changing I won't say ruining, but it is changing college sports. I would say probably for the worse, but it's not ruining it. Um, and but the transfer portal is also because and the reason why it's not ruining it because the transfer portal NIL has also it's helped a lot of young men and women pursue their dreams and help out themselves or their families during the process. Like I said, a lot of people take advantage of it. A lot of people, but that's just how the world is. Everybody's not going to do right all the time. But I can say that I believe 75 to 80% of the college kids are doing right by the NIL, the transfer portal. They're trying to, get better opportunities. But then you also have agents involved, and when those men and women get involved, then that's when this thing also takes a turn for the worse. And it's another thing that is hurting college sports. It's kids retaining agents. It's kids retaining grown men and women that's telling them, hey, yeah, so you just had 110 tackles. You had 15 and a half tackles for a loss. You was on a team that won 7 games. You went 7-5. You lost a bowl game, so you ended up going 7-6. You need to go to them and say, hey, I need such and such amount of dollars. If not, I'm leaving. The kid may not want to, but the kid is taking business advice from an agent. Well, that's when these kids go to these coaches and say, hey, look, I need such and such, such and such. And then the coaches looks at them and they say, yeah, we can't make that dollar amount happen. And then the kid goes and jumps into the transfer portal. And it might not even be agents. It could be family members. It could be parents. It could be, guardians, whoever the legal guardian, is or was growing up could be telling them, hey, you need to go get such and such money. And that's also hurting college sports because it's the advisory. It's the people around them that's giving them this advice. And it's a lot of times it's not good advice. It's some players now, well, not name names, but it's players now that probably should be in the NBA, probably should be in the NFL, probably should be in the Major League Baseball, but they listen to the advice of their, parents or agencies or agents or whatever to say, hey, you need to go get more money. You need to stay in college. You need to go get more money. Then they get to the school and then they get to this environment and the coaches can't coach. The coaches, they can't develop them well. And now you're stuck in college still because they're like the NFL is like, or the NBA is like, or the MLB is like, yeah, you hadn't improved, you hadn't gotten better, you've stayed status quo, you've gotten worse. And it's not really the players that's gotten worse; it's the environment around them. It's who they've been coached by. Now those are the three main ingredients of why college sports don't look the same. In my conclusion here is the transfer portal has done more harm to college sports than NIL. I think these players getting paid is something that's been needed. It's something it's had to happen. Now, do these players get greedy? Yes. But what 18 to 24-year-old wouldn't get greedy? Do these agents get greedy? Yes. Because that's what agents are about. Do these parents get greedy? Yes, some of them get greedy. But NIL, I think it's needed. It's needed across college sports because these players were bringing in so much revenue to these schools, and they weren't seeing anything, but they were getting their name, their image, and their likeness was getting used. But the number one thing that has hurt college sports, it's the advent of the transfer portal and being able to transfer more than once. Because one time being able to sit out, that's fine. You transfer one time, you don't have to sit out. Okay, that's cool. But when you have a chance to go play at Miami, you out of high school, and then it don't work out that year, and you go to LSU, then that don't work out that year, and you go to Auburn, then that don't work out, and you go to Mississippi State. That's a problem. because now you don't even know who's on your roster. You turn the TV on in August, and you're saying, I used to know everybody's by name on the Tennessee football roster, Tennessee basketball roster. I turn on and I'm like, I have to learn who these guys are as the season goes on, because I'm like, dang, oh yeah, we did get him out the portal. Oh yeah, we did get her out the portal. Okay, yeah, that's her name. Okay, oh yeah, good job, number 5. Oh wait, oh yeah, that's what's her. And you've lost the pageantry of what college is, and that's about retaining and developing. So that's what I had today for today's show. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'll be back Monday with another episode. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other.